this year's 2019 complete bike line, we decided to do a little bit different strategy than last year.
It takes an entire year to work on these bikes, and so believe it or not, it was probably exactly a year ago that we were coming up with a plan for our 2019 Fit Complete line, and we had just wrapped up 18 videos for the 2018 line, and they came out really cool. It was really time consuming to shoot each one of those videos, and I think Tony and myself and the team riders and everything just felt like doing something different this year.
So there's obviously months and months of design that goes into these bikes.
That's a big collaborative effort around here at Fit.
You pick the colors and you design all the graphics and you kind of start getting a feel for which way the line's going to go. This was the next step, was to find a way to show them to you guys.
Tony suggested maybe we go old school.
Everything is obviously going to show up on social media, but we wanted to go back to the traditional catalog route, get something that people can actually get their hands on. Shops can give it away for free.
So after Tony suggested that we look at the photo concept, my wheels started spinning and I was thinking, you know, let's go big, Vogue. Let's do this over the top production value. Kind of like high fashion concept.
They say a picture can say 1,000 words, and that was kind of the goal here for capturing the theme of each bike in just one photo shoot.
Now a few months later, we are at the point where it's time to do this photo shoot.
Then there comes down to scheduling shoots like this, bringing in all the riders.
Choose a photographer, scout these locations, get the props to try and bring these concepts to life.
Pretty much pulling it all together so we could pull it off in just 4 days.
We have 4 days to pull off this entire shoot. We have a deadline that is quickly looming. The bikes need to be shot and actually inserted into the catalog to go to print by the end of the week. So we have 4 days to pull off, 15 photo shoots. And day one, we went to Yucca Valley, which is basically near Joshua Tree out in the desert. We had a pretty stringent schedule in place, just knowing that we had a lot to get through and we were dealing with kids and we needed to take out any variables that we possibly could.
The first one that we went for was the Evel Knievel 18-inch bike shoot, and for that we had RA.
He totally rips, and he's rad, and his family is super down, and they drove all the way from Portland to show up and meet us in Yucca Valley for the shoot. Decided
to build a kind of like an 80s themed box jump. Just lip and landing, very Evel Knievel style, a little bit sketchy, which was perfect for the shoot. That's what we wanted to capture. So we had Aria just start ripping it. We just kept pushing it back further and further. And it's funny, when you have a little dude, he's got so much style. We were trying to explain to him that, Evel Knievel was on a big motorcycle back then, and like the Steez was a very minimal. That shoot came out pretty good. We got a couple of him boosting over the girls, and we also ripped a couple other ones of him just doing wheelies in the dirt, which we actually end up going with one of those in the actual catalog. From there, we moved on to the Misfits. This shoot was anticipated to be the most difficult, only because we were dealing with children. When you're dealing with kids, obviously, you got a short window that they're going to be cooperative. And that was a little bit challenging, because anytime you have to amass, 10 toddlers and children and get them dressed up and in costumes that we had just thrifted the day before. Set to be kind of themed in like a Mad Max element, where these kids are just going to be kicking up dust. It looks beautifully sunny in the desert, but it was pretty cold. It was freezing, like 40s. Jesse came up and pointed out that the girls actually had goosebumps. So in some of the detailed photos, it was pretty evident that it was not warm in the desert that day. This one was tough. This one was a little bit harder to get 7 people cooperating all at the same time, 7 or 8 kids, and their faces, one would be good, one would be a little bit off. In the end, it all worked out. We managed to get one good photo. I believe it was pretty slim, maybe 1 or 2 good photos where everybody's faces were equally involved. And then after that, once we called a wrap, the kids just jetted inside. They were so cold, grabbing blankets. From there, we were going to go to a racetrack that was nearby so Muller could rip the 22. But as the sun was going down and there was a berm on site, he decided that he just wanted to lace up, get dressed up, and rip it right there. We went with a S&M dirt bike inspired graphic. It's kind of like a 22-inch replica of a very popular S&M build from Muller's heyday.
So it made sense, obviously, to have Chris in that photo.
But the shoot turned out all right. Muller rode the 22. He ripped the berm a couple times. He actually had a spiller too, trying to get too rad. Then there was kind of a second alternative that if we didn't quite get the shot we wanted to, we were going to have him pose by his trailer, which kind of brings out the element of the 22 being like a relaxing, more comfortable bike for an older fella who's going to drink beers by his trailer. Close out day one. On our way back to Long Beach, we stopped at the Nude Bowl. Hango gave it a few rips, managed to get a little photo just around sunset with Jeff Z, which actually made it into the catalog too, so that was worth it. Day two, this is when we started to shoot some of our signature models with the pro team. So the first location we went to is actually an alley in Long Beach that Jeff Z suggested. He said that it's never short of having just filth and garbage.
That was a really kind of gross experience. We were literally picking up, there was a lot of bras there. There was a mattress.
This shoot is for Vegans Complete, which has you could say a Sesame Street vibe, but it's more or less an Oscar the Grouch vibe. So first of all, we purchased a trash can, which looked brand new. That's no good. We wanted it to look terrible. So we started banging it up, and we realized that Vegan wasn't gonna wanna sit in this thing for too long, so we broke out the bottom. Sean Mack and Hango got that done pretty quickly. Rather than painting his face with actual face paint.
Tony spray painted him green to definitely get that kind of Oscar the Grouch vibe.
Which I'm super happy we did, because in the end it made the photo 10 times better. The graphic and the image are nearly identical.
Basically an exact replica of his stickers on his bike.
That shoot went really well, and we were off to a good start for day two.
That was the first shoot of the day, and I think we really nailed that one. It looked great, so it set a really good tone.
What's up? I'm green, motherfucker.
Next up, we shot Jordan Hango's Signature Complete, which has a Pilsner vibe. It's one of his favorite beers. We thought it would be good to take Hango over to a bar and shoot this bike as if he was maybe playing pool, sitting at a bar, maybe sitting outside. First, before we got permission to go in, we just covered our bases and got a few photos of the bike outside, locked up. Then we finessed our way into the bar. And
it got a little bit wild in there. We had to kind of grease the bartender with some tips, etc.
But before long, we were in his good graces, and we had Jeff Z behind the bar holding flashes. Yeah, it wasn't long before the team had a few rounds in them and everybody started to loosen up.
Hango probably drank 4 glasses of beer in the process, just trying to get the perfect sip.
We had some other samples of his sticker that we put on a pint glass and had him sip out of it for a minute. Did a couple shots of him playing pool just in case the other stuff didn't work out, but I feel like in the end we were able to capture the vibe of his graphics pretty well. The next shoot was actually back to the original alley where we started that day.
At this point we were 2 shoots down for the day, and it was time for Nordstrom Shoot. Now Nordstrom's theme for his bike was Knight Rider inspired, and if you're not familiar with Knight Rider, it is a car who talks. It's from a TV show in the 80s, and we were actually able to rent a car.
The kit, if you prefer.
We thought it was just simple enough to go back to this alley, light it up a different way so you couldn't tell that it was the same location, and just have him do a hot bar.
It basically took Matt, I think, 2 tries.
I'll just hop on and bar spin.
Okay.
Just to totally nail it. And when Tristan saw the shot from the second bar spin that Matt did, we just called it 3 shoots. It was a wrap.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I just want to prove it.
So day 3, we started out at Mission Control in Santa Ana. Conveniently, there's a very dope arcade that was just a few miles from work.
This was Sean Mack's shoot today.
There we go. Thought they about to rob my ass.
Who's obviously super good in front of the camera and all things marketing, so that one was kind of a smooth sailing affair.
Sean Mack always has a few good ideas when coming up with his complete graphics. So this year he wanted to do a Pac-Man themed bike, which worked out with his name, of course.
Mac-Man.
Now we found this arcade in Santa Ana that had a couple Pac-Man machines. and coincidentally they happened to serve a Pac-Man drink, which Sean Mack was on board with right away.
Cheers, guys.
After Tristan got the shot with Mac and the bike that he wanted, he did a couple inset photos of the bike up against the traditional Pac-Man machine. And then we were out of there, back to S&M and Fit, where we were going to do a couple in-house studio shoots. So in the studio that day we had Justin Spreet come out, the man with the mustache.
Really, if you look at the graphics on Justin Spreet's bike, it's all about the mustache, and so we just felt like we could nail that in the studio.
And we had Justin pose with his bike and his mustache, and the results were amazing.
You gotta get close. Did you get the close-up of that stash though?
For the third shoot of the day in Santa Ana, we did Ethan Corrier's bike. In 2018, he had the M3 vibe, and this year he was doing the STI Subaru thing, and luckily Julio downstairs has one of those cars, and Ethan has one and was able to call up a friend, so we got all three of the cars there.
Little trio out in the street, and had Ethan pose in front of him.
That left just one more bike for the day, and that was the Dugan Complete. And Dugan's concept, we asked him what he wanted to put on his Complete this year, and he was into this V for Vendetta. It was uncanny how much his sticker looked just like him in the graphic.
Wow, you look just like your sticker.
Thought of this when we kind of set up like a whole team of dudes, not even just fit riders. We had a couple other buddies, and Jeff Z's even in the background.
Trying to kind of emulate a scene at the end of the movie.
All dress up in the V masks and kind of pose in like this V shape behind Dugan being the center of attention.
That was the end of a very long day. I think we wrapped at like 10 o'clock at night after a super early start time, so day 3 in the books.
Meanwhile, while all these shoots are happening in California, we had shoots going on in other places of the country as well as Japan and Australia. We sent a bike out to Austin in New York. Austin Augie's bike this year had, again, graphics drawn by Evan Fisher. They turned out great. It completely captures Austin's vibe of searching for roofs high and low in New York City and always bringing his bike and always documenting the adventure. We had sent a bike to Yumi in Japan and a bike to Chris Hardy in Australia. Obviously, Chris Hardy's bike has an Australian theme with the stars and him flying high in his trails out there. We got him on his bike, and he actually sent his trails on the Complete. Goes to show you that these bikes can handle it. And we also sent a bike to Yumi in Tokyo, Japan.
He worked with a photographer there. When we got the photos back, it was so dynamic that it actually ended up being the cover. Those 3 shots, the Tokyo, Australia, and NYC, were the only ones that we didn't do in-house, but they happened the same week.
The PRK, the TRL, and the STR line are usually not signature bikes, but we have an upgraded version for all 3 this year, and that includes Chris Hardy, Yumi, and Joey Baggs from Illinois.
Day 4 was the bag shoot. Of course, that was supposed to happen on day 3, but he missed his flight. However, he showed up, so we're good.
This is Flaming Dragon. Speedman is with us now.
We're back at the building, studio shoot with Joey Baggs. Joey Baggs' bike is Tron themed. One of the cooler shots we got for the whole entire catalog. We wanted to get a good photo of him kind of illuminated and glowing in this Tron environment.
I believe it was Tristan actually had the great idea to use these kind of light cords.
Okay, just need more on the ground.
Melissa actually glued one to a shirt to make a key logo, which looked great. And Tristan and myself took turns going behind him and wiggling these lights. And after, maybe even 30 takes, we got exactly the one that we were looking for. Tristan, I think, was even surprised himself with how good the concept actually came to life.
God, I still cannot believe that looks like that.
First time that Tristan had done anything like that, and it just turned out so awesome.
So only 2 shoots left. We've got Morgan Long, who went with his classic hoodbird theme. It only seemed right to shoot his photo in Long Beach, where he's resided for a better of 10 years. Jeff Z came through again with another location. He said that there was a really great mural with a bird painted on it with its just wings wide open, and thought it would be cool to have Morgan just ride past it and kind of lock eyes with Bird. So that's the Hoodbird shoot done, and that only left one more, which was Van Homan, who wanted to do a Holy Fit theme this year. After doing his Criminal Mischief theme the year before, he had won Nora Cup Awards for Best Video Part for both.
We decided to go in front of a church, brought the nuns.
When they did the premiere for Holy Fit back then, they had nuns on the red carpet, so I thought it would be funny to have nuns kind of sitting on the steps praising Van while he rides his complete. This one was a little bit tricky. We were losing daylight pretty fast. Setting up was like a little sketchy. We were across the street kind of ducking behind a couple of cars just to stay low key until we were set up. You know, it's a church and we've got people posing as nuns, so it was a little dicey. Van started barring the set. He barred the set nearly until it was too dark to throw him.
Van Homan, being the consummate professional he is, showed up through the bars, nailed it.
And we got the photo. Hard to say after four really hectic days, that was the end, and we call it a wrap.
That was officially a wrap.
This catalog is going to come with every bike, so when the shops build them, they take the catalog and they put them on the counter.
That way, when you go into your local fit dealer, you're able to take a look at the bikes on the floor, grab the catalog, take it home, kind of mull it over, check out the spec, decide what the bike for you is, and go from there. So if you're interested in seeing how this whirlwind of a shoot concept program turned out, definitely head down to your local fit dealer, ask them for the 2019 fit catalog, and let us know in the comments which one you want.